The neatest vacation I've ever heard of. A bunch of my friends right now are going to places and taking pictures of where there is that place in another country, like
like Paris or London, stuff like that.
yeah, we have some of those, Penn, something. She rode all the way across the state to go to Canada, something. Yeah, can't think of it. You got that one?
We got one. We got one.
This one's loaded.
Yeah, we're.
This one I think is gonna load. Oh, yeah. Yes, I hope it gets a slide down there. Isn't that crazy? Yes.
Yeah, across the street from us where we live. And I know my computer is like, I look at it, and it's never gonna build there. I don't know how to build. They got engaged on that lot. Oh, is that right? It was so funny because, her mom, Laura, called and said, I think you guys might be engaged. And they were out there, my mom, go out there. And I'm like, go get him back. I want to go get pictures. We like watching the windows. And it was so cute. We saw so That's crazy. 1 minute.
Yes, sir.
No, he's excused and Sarah's excused.
John might try to join us this week.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying, we still have it while we have the meeting going on, that's why I don't want to know. That happens sometimes.
Who's got their phones off?
Silence.
Now I keep checking.
I'd like to bring the meeting of the Parks, Aquatics, Recreation, and Golf Commission. It is Wednesday, November 20th. Could I have roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Chairman Fogg,
Here?
Vice Chairman Ferry is excused. Commissioner Lawson,
Present.
Commissioner Engelson is also excused. Commissioner Dory,
Present.
Commissioner Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Mann. Ma'am, we have a quorum.
Okay, now we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now we have the approval of minutes for August 21st, 2024. Anyone?
I motion that we approve the minutes.
Second.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All approve? Say aye.
I do.
Aye. Any nays? Motion, or the minutes are approved. Now, consideration of public comments. Those wishing to address the commission should fill out request forms in advance. Comments from the public will be restricted to items not on the agenda, but there will be no comments allowed that advertise for a particular person or group. Comments should be limited to no more than 3 minutes. The commission may not respond to speakers during the call to the public. and the commission may direct the staff to study the matter or request that the matter be placed on a future agenda. Do we have any? We have one. Okay.
Here you go. Hi, my name is Beth Ferry, and I'm the president of the Kingman Pickleball Club. And I am asking first permission to possibly put on the next agenda for the next meeting in February, just to share some items about what the Kingman Pickleball Club is up to. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is really to offer a huge thank you to the city of Kingman, and particularly the Parks and Rec. We recently received shades for our the court area between the tennis court and the pickleball court, and that has been something that we've been really griping about. and do not listen to Mike if he thinks that if we're kind of gripers. Pickleball players are really a funny group, I'm telling you that right now. Passionate, that's a good word, that's a good word. Okay, so they were put up, and they are lovely, and they're gonna be super wonderful once summer comes. So I wanted to especially thank you for that, because I know that that was a big expense and complicated to put those shades where they were. So we super appreciate that. And also I want to thank the Parks and Rec women in the office. We had a lot of help with our tournament that we recently had. We had about 78 people come to play all day Saturday, and our people inside came out and swept the courts in the morning because it rained, and one even subbed in a session because we didn't have enough players, and Yvonne made sure that we had scheduled our courts and stuff, and we are super appreciative of that, and the money we raised will go to various charities in the community. And lastly, I have a big, huge thank you to the maintenance department. They sent over Lucky to help us, and we pressure washed the courts, and we are taking it before our board to adopt those courts as part of the Adopt the Park program, so that we can keep those courts really nice and beautiful. So I hope that I can come back next session, which is in February. Actually, I won't, but somebody else will, and just kind of share a little bit about what we're doing. But lastly, I did want to tell you that we are 173 members strong. So for this little community, we're pretty excited about that. So there. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Ferry. We'll get that on the next agenda.
Yeah, thanks so much, and I have presents for you guys.
All right, we're on to reports now. The Recreation Superintendent report. Yep.
Good evening, everyone. The Recreation Division is in the process of finishing up most of its fall programs. It will finish up this season as we complete our winter programs here in December. Our fall dance classes completed this past Saturday, the 9th. We ended up having 2 dance recitals due to the number of participants and the number of performances that we had to issue. We had 23 performances in our first recital and 29 in our second recital. Of all of those performances, there was a duplicate of 3. So we had 3 that actually performed in both recitals. Other than that, all the other ones did not duplicate. So those who attended, I know Karen showed up, were able to see quite a few performances altogether. We did acquire just above 650 total participants who attended between the 2 events. Our body shaping class was on hold for a while because our instructor had fallen down and broke both of her wrists, and she's now recuperating and returned this last month, the beginning of November, so she's back at full strength, and we're looking forward to having her throughout the rest of the year and coming up next season. Sports-wise, we have a new recreation coordinator, Teresa Acuna. I was hoping she'd be able to make it here tonight, but she can't because she had prior commitments as well. But she will be overseeing all of our sports programs in the department. Teresa has many years of experience in organizing the Kingman Softball Association as well as being a certified sports official herself. She referees high school sports and middle school for volleyball, basketball, and softball. Our youth volleyball program ended this past Thursday, November 14th. They received their awards, and they also had balls and trophies that were given to them, and their pictures all on that last day. We have a total of 18 volleyball teams in our adult league, which also consists of 161 players overall. We also began early basketball registrations for both the youth and the adult programs. Our youth numbers are slowly increasing, which is good. I think only one of our divisions may struggle and is looking at possibly being canceled, which is the oldest division. I know people always say, what is there for teenagers? How come there's nothing for teenagers? Well, this program is actually designed for those who do not make the middle or high school teams. So you're talking 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. And we right now have a total of, I think it's 4 girls and 6 boys that are registered. And we do need to have at least a minimum of 30 in each age group. Or in gender specific, if you don't make it co-ed, we still need to have overall 30. Let's see. Youth, the registration deadline for basketball was set as December 13th. We are going to extend it to December 20th. It's about as late as we can push it out before we have to start distributing teams and handing them over to coaches so that we can start in a timely manner in January. Every year we face challenges with us not having our own facilities. If you know or may not know, we borrow the gymnasiums from Kingman Unified and Kingman Academy. We have primarily for basketball have depended on KUSD for a lot of their facilities. As of this coming year, Kingman Middle School will be putting one of their gymnasiums under construction. Palo Christi has been removed from our hands, I will say, as well as the Boys and Girls Club, which the old Boys and Girls Club building. So we lost 3 facilities that we no longer have access to during the week for practices or on Saturdays. So we are leaning a lot more this season on the Kingman Academy, and they're willing to work with us, so we'll see what this season holds for us. In our leisure programs, we had just had to cancel our last chess class for the season due to lack of registrations. We also had our youth dessert and cooking classes that continued. Something we started to carry over from the summer, because in the summertime they're very popular, and the parents had asked how come we don't do them throughout the year. So at the end of, not this past summer, but the summer before, we went on and continued in the fall and the spring, and that last class was held on November 9th. We had a new program that we started last year. This was the second year doing it, was the Bobbing for Pumpkins, and we moved it to Centennial Pool this year, but for those who didn't know, it was held on the October 19th, I believe it was, 20th, and the weather was really, really cold. So swimming in that weekend, I think the weather was like 47 degrees, so we decided to cancel the swimming part, moved it in. We called all the participants, and they all said they were still wanting to do it, so they did carving and decorating inside the community center, and we skipped the swimming portion of it, but all the kids had a good time. They all had goodie bags. Sandy did a good job on recruiting sponsorships for the program, so she gave away a lot of freebies to the kids who showed up. This winter, we'll be holding our Mrs. Claus's workshop, AKA Karen Fogg is our Mrs. Santa. She'll be doing cookies and crafts and caroling with the kids. We have an idea for this for this winter's activity, decorating the community center, and it is stay decorated for the time period that we'll be running those winter programs in there. And we also have 2 divisions that we divided up between 5 to 9 years old, or it's two age groups varying between 5 to 9, I think it's 5 to 7 and 7 to 9 or something like that. And we take up to 10 kids per class, so that way there's enough time for Santa and Mrs. Claus, or for Mrs. Claus to associate with all of the kids and give enough one-on-one time in the hour and a half that we have them. Other holiday events include the new Alpha Alert, Letters to Santa, Santa's Calling, a Jingle All the Way breakfast with Santa, and the Polar Dip. The special events that we had recently that passed since our last meeting was the 54th Annual Andy Devine Parade on September 28th. We had 63 registered entries. We did endure one of the hottest parades yet, I think, since my time in being here. And we had, with that being such a hot day, we had a lot of people calling us on Friday saying, hey, we're not going to be able to make it. It's going to be too hot. We had some of the high school bands pull out because of their garb that they have to wear. It's just too hot for them to march in the parade with. And we had an additional about 5 or 6 that didn't show up that Saturday morning. October 18th was supposed to have been our drive-in movie night, but we had to cancel that due to weather. It was the same weekend as the Bobbing for Pumpkins. Our fall coloring contest brought in 935 coloring sheets, and of those 935, we did determine and award 18 winners. As previously mentioned, this holiday season, we have the Jingle All the Way Breakfast with Santa on December 7th. This breakfast is taking place in place of the annual breakfast that used to be over at Golden Corral, but since Golden Corral has closed down, they are no longer available to us. So we are gonna open up the community center, of course, with pre-registration, so we make sure we know exactly how much food to have available. Santa and Mrs. Claus will mingle with the kids, tell holiday stories, and the families will get to visit and take pictures with Santa in our decorated facility. In addition, we have our annual Letters to Santa and our Santa's Calling program. Those have been ongoing for several years. The Letters to Santa is a program where children can write a letter, draw a picture, send it to Santa with a self-addressed stamped envelope enclosed, and Santa takes the time, and his volunteers, of course, to address every single individual letter back and mail it to them. The calling program is similar. It's a form that we hope parents fill out and give us information about the kids, what they're doing good, what they need to improve on, tell us about their family, whether they have siblings, how old they are. So when we call, they sit there and they're like, how do you know my brother's name? How do you know my mom's name? How do you know what school I go to? All of this information, it's an information, what we call our cheat sheets. So Santa, Mrs. Claus, the elves, they all take turns in calling children. So if that is something that any of you are interested in participating in, you do it from your own living room. We ask you to block your phone by calling with caller ID so that no one can tell who you're on, then plus you don't put your phone number out there. And the way it just works is you say, ho, 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 this is Santa calling from the North Pole. I would like to speak to Sandy. And then they'll be like, oh my God, Santa's on the phone. So some of the kids get really, really involved. So it's kind of cool to do. I like doing it. Calling forms have been out in the schools since, gosh, I want to say the end of October, beginning of November. And they're also at daycare facilities and some of the other city offices like City Hall. We have them at the fire department. We have 3 red mailboxes, one in front of our office, one here at City Hall, and one at the fire station on Gordon. And there's additional forms available there as well. The new program that we added this winter was the Alpha Alert. It was designed to get people on our trails and in our parks to hunt for hidden elves. The elves will have clues inside with them, and it tells them what to do with it and where to bring it. If they return the elf with the little clue, then they get their prize awarded to them at the office. And again, Sandy went out, recruited a bunch of donations for these, so she's got baskets and things that people will come in and collect. The clues will be on our Facebook page starting December 2nd. So if that's something you're interested in and you have Facebook, please look at our Facebook on December 2nd, look for the first clue, see if you can figure out where the elf might be hiding. Staff have attended monthly meetings for the holiday lights display, which is here in downtown. Santa's Castle, of course, with the assistance of Jerry and his crew. We'll have the castle downtown with Mrs. Claus and Santa enclosed. Again, AKA Karen Fogg, and Bill Wyatt, who works for the Public Works Department, has been our Santa for, gosh, quite a few years, and they've both been volunteering to do that for us. What was that? Sandy's been working diligently on all of our upcoming events and recruiting sponsorships for prizes, so I want to give kudos to her for that as well. In the Aquatics, Centennial Pool was remaining open, but only for school swim teams and practices and meets. It is now closed. Their last practice or meet was on November 5th, and we will open up for the polar dip on January 1st and then reopen again for the season on Memorial Day. On some miscellaneous notes, we attended the Arizona Parks and Recreation Association conference in Tucson. There was a lot of sessions that were offered that we're able to gain knowledge of from other cities and educational teachings and such, which help with us. We've already began implementing some of those ideas that were acquired that will be coming up in our upcoming season. The rec team also created our department's Halloween costume, which we won again for another year. We kind of won the last 3 or 4 years since we've been participating. We made our own version of King Monopoly, so we called it Pargopoly, Parks, Aquatic, Recreation, and Golf. And we all dressed up as game board pieces. And some of them were like, if you've been caught not repairing a divot at Surbat Cliffs Golf Course, pay $50 penalty to the pro shop. Something about vandalism. You've been caught vandalizing our park, you have a $200 restitution fee that needs to be donated to the Movies in the Park program. So we kind of gathered it around our parks, our programs, our trails, all the divisions within our department, and some of the activities and programs that we have. The department continues to also participate in the monthly First Friday events. We've had the recreation team out at First Friday. I want to say we have not, if we missed any, it might have been just one so far this year. But we're out there handing out our brochures, promoting our parks, promoting our programs, our trails, and everything that we have to offer. One last comment was I wanted to share that we have two of our office attendants, Celeste Bobrowski and Sherry Forbes. Both won MVV awards, which is the Mission, Vision, and Values program that the city offers. They were two of the top winners in the city for the last quarter. So, and that's about it. So again, if you're interested in volunteering for anything that we have coming up, just shoot me an email. Feel free to call the office, and I'll be glad to assist you. All right, that's it.
I have a question. Was this the first time Sandy went to the conference?
No, second year. Second time. Yeah, she went last year as well.
Okay, that's a great conference, so.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any questions?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne. You're busy.
Thank you, Yvonne.
Real quick, Beth left this stuff for me to hand out, but she may not have known. I'm gonna have to leave early. My daughter's getting married this weekend, so I'm here to do this, but I've got family in town, and so I ditched them at my house to come here. So I'm gonna leave this stuff up here up front, and she'd like for each of you to please take one when you leave. Right, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Next up, Jerry with the Parks Superintendent Report.
All right, I'm Jerry Seid, your park superintendent. So we'll start with the Lewis Kingman Park upgrade. I'm sure a lot of you seen that before the 66 Fest, all the work that went in there. But we retrofitted lights from Fripp Ranch along the front interior grass. The overhead power line along Ramada 1 was removed. New remodels installed and landscaping done around them. New restroom construction started. We had to get a new water meter installed for the new water line that ran to those. Areas of upgrade complete, cleaned for the I Love 66 Fest. We had all that cleaned up from all that construction and pulled that off. We trenched from and power run filled with asphalt millings where we had to do all the saw cuts. We did that all in-house. And there was a few trees we had to remove for the park upgrades. Also at Lewis Kingman Park, there's a new permanent art experience monument that was installed. The shield is located on the south side of the park in the front grass area. The shield features 2 cutouts allowing for a unique photo opportunity for those passing through and locals alike. Parks helped with the installation, planning, install, and cleanup around the new monument. Then moving on to trails, we have our new part-time trails keeper, Kat Sumabi, that started this week. And at the White Cliffs Trail System, we got signs for recently added trails installed. Also at White Cliffs, we had a bench installed on the 4th Street connector. And our other trails keeper is back, and the construction of the 5-mile addition of the Campbell Loop has begun. So moving on to safety and training. The city complex, we had a dead tree behind the fire station 1 removed. We had a leaning tree by Romano 2 removed at Centennial. We had low-hanging branches on the walk path that were addressed. We installed emergency lighting in the community center and finished the last of our OSHA inspection items. We had 4 groundskeepers that started the 3rd, and all have already attended orientation. So we had a lot of spots that we had to fill, and we finally got that, and now we're just filled our last part-timer position. So right now, we're currently full staff for the first time in a while. Lucky Black is now our the Parks Division new safety committee member, and he participated in his first monthly meeting. And at Firefighters Memorial Park, we had an issue with the skate lights not coming on, but we got that resolved. So miscellaneous repairs and improvements, we got at Centennial Park, we added soil mix to low spots on soccer fields, we top dressed and applied gypsum and phosphate. We treated weeds along the Eastern Ave Pine Tree Line, Fripp's Ranch, and Airway Underpass. At Centennial Park, Kingman Academy of Learning Middle School, football sled moved between fields 1 and 4 for practices. Newly filled in low spots that were seated had barricades put up around them to protect the seating as they grew at Centennial Park. We had to do that in order for it to grow, we have to keep people off it. For firefighters, Memorial Park, we replaced a vandalized tree. That's something we've seen a lot there. They never get very big at all. They come and snap the tops off them about every 2 years, so they don't really make any progress. Sunbelt Park, our future location, we dug holes and took pictures of the soil structure and content for the J2 engineers in multiple locations. They want to see what it was like underground, what kind of soil they were dealing with. The Annie Divine Days Parade, we set up and tore down audio, marshaled the parade, helped with set up and tear down of parade areas, and set up and tore down stage for judges and announcer. Southside Park, we down and chipped 4 large dead pine trees near the old animal shelter. Grandview Pool, Trident Aquatics was here for our site evaluation and planning. The pool's been drained, measurements and core drill samples taken, and they are currently working with Parks leadership to get that all retrofitted. Centennial Park, we set up for the walk away from drugs. As mentioned previously, we had new shade sails installed between the pickleball courts. The Harrison parking lot in front of the community center had parking spots painted for community center parking spots only, because we were having an issue with the schools taking up all our spots and didn't have any room. At Centennial Park also, we had new center straps installed on the tennis court nets. Then with this quarter, we had 129 irrigation issues fixed. We installed 3 new Toro DXI irrigation controllers, allowing remote access and better communication and programming software at Wallach Ranch, Locomotive, and Metcalf. And these are pretty neat, and we're moving forward to doing all parks. I can actually control it from my cell phone, anywhere in the world. Multiple irrigation repairs completed due to power line runs through Lewis Kingman Park. That was a process. Our irrigation guys were literally just following them everywhere they trenched. We repaired a line break under a slab at Locomotive. They required that big train wheel bench to be moved and the slab broken out. Then moving on to our vandalism. This so far for fiscal year, we're looking at an estimated of $7,800 in vandalism. Then just to touch on some of that vandalism at Canyon Shadows, one of the bubble window panels on the playground was broken out. The light bollard was broken out, leaving exposed wires. That's a common issue that happens a lot. Cecil Davis Park, multiple times graffiti in the restrooms and playground. Multiple incidents of soap dispensers broken out. At Centennial Park, we had 3 incidents of women's 4-plex restroom where all the toilet paper is taken off the rolls, wetted, and thrown all over the restroom. Light dial was vandalized, had to be replaced. And also, again, multiple incidents of graffiti on the playgrounds and ramadas. Firefighters Park, lots of graffiti happened in the restrooms multiple times. Hubs, also graffiti. Metcalf Park, the expression swing was broken off the frame. Monsoon Park, the restroom gate handle was broken off. Wallach, graffiti once again all over the playground and shade structure. And White Cliffs, we had multiple incidents of graffiti all over that as well. But that concludes the end of my report. Do you guys have any questions?
What broke the light bollard at Canyon Shadows?
So the light bollards, the way they're mounted, it's just the ones that come right off the sidewalk. Yeah. And since they're about this tall, you can get a lot of leverage on them, and it doesn't take much if you really want to just snap it off its base.
Okay, so it wasn't a vehicle that did this, just...
No, vehicles have come through and done it before, but the way they're made, it's just you have too much leverage that there's not enough on the base. It breaks the aluminum inside it.
I have a question. Did any of your staff go to the Parks and Rec conference this year?
On the parks maintenance side, no.
Pardon me?
On park maintenance, no.
I actually have a question. How time consuming is that graffiti removal? Do you guys use the elephant snot system or elephant?
It depends
glue,
on
or-
where it's at. Like, if it's something you just paint over and it's been painted over before, yeah. And actually, let me take that back. Matthew Coulter did go. I apologize. But if stuff that's very porous, like on rocks, yeah, or even brick buildings, you can only get like the top half off. All the little pores, like it just, the chemical don't work and there's no way to really get bristles in there.
Hmm.
So a lot of that will end up usually like you'll see a paint spot and we try to match it the best we can.
Look into the, I believe it's called elephant snot. I hate to be
We have
rude.
used it.
And it's worked well like out in the BLM properties and like White Cliffs type rock and stuff like that. It doesn't work on brick and concrete so well.
It's because it's down in the pores, the paint.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I see.
And we have a vandalism remover spray as well that's probably very similar. There's multiple things. We don't have a sandblaster in-house. A sandblaster probably would work good on something that's porous, but then also you're gonna have a different color from the sandblasting. So either way, you're probably gonna end up with a different shade.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jerry.
Thank you,
Moving on,
Jerry.
we've got the golf course superintendent report.
Evening, everybody. It's good to see you again. I'm going to start with some cultural items that we've got done. Obviously, the most important for us is our fall aerification process. We were successful once again pulling a microcore out of the greens and blowing them off into the collars and picking them up and putting them into other low spots or bare spots because those cores grow right back for us. So, half-inch solid tine on all of the tees and the fairways. We followed that up with sulfate of potash, which is a fertilizer application that's really targeted at the roots. So while those holes are open, we like to get it down inside. And then also some overseeding, especially on our tee boxes. It's one of the few times that we really have the manpower to go out and get a lot of seed put down at one time because we're really focused on that. So that was all successful. And then we did 6 herbicide applications to the southern brass button that we have on our greens in the last quarter, and in a little bit you'll see a slide of a new product that we put out. I put out, it's fairly new to the market, but it's definitely new to me. It's not something I knew about, but it was recommended by a consultant, and we tried it, and you'll see from the pictures that it's working very well. So we're going to follow that up with a couple more applications as we get moved into winter, but once the greens go dormant, we got to kind of back off a little bit so we don't damage any of the turf. So, but success for us. It was good news. So, also we've been performing mass slit seeding in our fairways. Some of the spots that we lost to heat or to fungus, and we've even stepped it up a little bit and been roping off some of these areas because we got so much cart traffic that, you know, we'll go through and seed an area, it starts popping up, it starts looking good, and then you get 270 carts in a weekend that runs it over. So unfortunately the carts are running the ropes and the stakes over too, but you know, not all of them. So we've got some good germination out there right now in some of these spots, and we're starting to look a lot better. So and then we did some spike seeding and light verticutting to the coarse greens throughout the growing season. We kind of back off on that and do a little more brooming and a lot less mowing and a lot more rolling. So as the turf slows down, we like to try to keep our green speeds up anyway and do a lot more rolling. So a few irrigation highlights. Pretty much every meeting that I've been on, I've been talking about satellite upgrades. As I spoke at the last one, we were able to, thanks to council, get capital approval. We have received 7 of the new satellites that we need to put in the ground, and we'll be installing the first one next week. So we're excited about that. We're upgrading technology. It's great. And obviously for that, we'll be replacing the older RDR style that they're just no longer supporting. So good news there. As far as any type of repairs, we did 40 feet of 4-inch main line, 15 feet of 6-inch main line, and about 15 feet of lateral lines, and we've either replaced or leveled or upgraded 25 sprinklers in the last quarter. So, you know, that's a constant thing. The Earth's always moving, and so, you know, we're trying to stay on top of it and get that water exactly where we need it. Some trainings, myself and the assistant superintendent attended what's called Desert Green in Las Vegas in October. I think it's a great thing. It's 2 days, 9 hours a day, so it's not a full week type of thing where you're gone from the course when, you know, you got all the aerification and everything going on. But they really focus, you know, Southern Nevada Water Authority, I hate to say, is way ahead of Arizona when it comes to water restrictions and things you can do and things you can't. So for us, it's nice to go to this and really learn about what they're doing in xeriscapes and what superintendents are doing removing turf and what they're putting back in and the things that we need to focus on too to cut water. So that's always exciting for us. And then I spent the whole second day, 9 hours, almost nonstop, focusing on nothing but landscape design. because it's not something I'm super strong in. I'm the first one to admit that. And so, I really learned about plant placements now versus plant placements 10 years from now, and not to overdo things. So that was very informative for me. So definitely worth the trip. Some new equipment we got. Again, thanks to council. We appreciate anything that we can get when we get it. We got a new trenching attachment and a turbine blower for our Ventrac tractor. So that's a good thing. So all these little irrigation movements and things that we're going to be doing and capping pipes and pulling turf out, that's, a lot easier with the trencher. So we're very happy to have that. And then we were able to order a new triplex T-mower. Unfortunately, when I talked to the sales rep this morning, we're still about 12 months out to receive it. So yeah, and it's been in the system for 90 days, so we're already 3 months into it. So. Me too. I really do. We can definitely use it. So okay, yeah, I hear you, man. It's not easy out there. Not when it comes to equipment. So, lastly, I just like to thank the maintenance team. We could always use more personnel, but I am fully staffed, and those guys come in the door every morning and hit the ground running. And really, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be in the great shape that we are. And then also for Sam and his team for putting up with the golfers during frost delays, because that's not easy. So we've hit that time of year again. But that's about all I have. If anybody has any questions. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Next up is the Golf Pro Report.
Okay, good evening. I'm Sam Hewitt, head golf professional. I don't believe I wasn't at the last meeting, so, right. So, anyway, just kind of go in chronological order here. We had a new employee, Carrie, that started in the grill August 7th and left September 8th. So that's one of our challenges, is just the turnover, especially in the grill area. We did get a new volunteer, Oogie Edgel, real good lady. She's a realtor, and she's doing some starting for us on Sunday mornings and some other things. Helps with the junior program as well. So glad to have her on board. This past 3 months have been kind of tournament season for us. So August 10th, we had the Kingman Fire Department tournament, 148 players. We had 112 players the 24th of August for the Elks tournament. September 7th was the KRMC tournament. They had 160 players, up from 118, and that was a real good deal. Cecilia ran it for KRMC. She did a great job. It was a real fun deal. We had a Bloody Mary bar set up for them, so a lot of people took advantage of that, I think. We had the final City League, which was September 11th. We had to stop that because we'd tee off at 5 and just got too dark, so we couldn't play. That was on Wednesdays, every other Wednesday, so we didn't interfere with the realtor leagues on Wednesdays. So we are thinking about changing that to another day, but next year, but we're not sure. A lot more participation this year. We changed the format. We upped the entry fee a little bit, and so we were able to give away more money, and that seemed to be, people seemed to like that. Moose Lodge Tournament, September 28th, 64 players. We had our fall junior golf, 36 participants, pretty good. We did a lot of studying and upgraded our junior golf, and it seemed to go better, more popular. What we used to do in the summer, of course we had a lot more participants in the summer, was they would do like putting one day and driving the next day and on the course, and they would spend their whole time there. So in the fall, we just split it up, 20 minutes on the putting green, 20 minutes on the chipping green, and kept them kind of active. And the kids and the parents seemed to like that a lot better. We had the Kings baseball tournament October 12th, 72 players. The Fall Classic, which was a two-man alternate shot. October 19th and 20th, 120 players, or actually 60 players each day, so it'd be 120 total. November 2nd, the Cowboy Classic, 92 players. That's where everyone dresses up in a cowboy outfit, and you have to wear a cowboy hat. If you take the cowboy hat off, they can assess you a 2-stroke penalty. So I could never do it because my follow-through would knock it off, I think. We have 2 other new hires. Christian Dixon, he's a young man. His family moved here from South Carolina. His father's works for Nucor. He's a safety engineer of some sort. And Samantha Stout is in the grill area. We had another volunteer, Rob Hatch, worked for about a week. His wife, unfortunately, got cancer, and they're from Colorado and had to go back there. Booked 2 tournaments recently, the Battle of Mojave County, February 3rd, and the Kingman High School Class of 78 for October 4th of next year. Anyway, that's about it. Any questions I can answer? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Now we have the director's report. Mike Mearsman.
That was yours, Jerry. That's yours, Jerry. Huh? Want to join the Zoom meeting? On here. There it is. Great. I've got 2 different parts of this. Basically, this first part is about facilities. We have great groups in our community. Kingman Softball Association, they have about 800 members, and over the years, they've donated about $300,000 worth of upgrades to the facility. Kingman Softball Association, soccer's growing like crazy, and they have 1,200 participants, and they've donated $200,000 and in field lighting and things like that. And let me do this. At any rate, Kingman Youth Little League, they donated they have 900 kids playing Little League, and they've donated over $50,000 in shade structures and ADA fences for people to be able to get in with wheelchairs and play on the ball fields. Kingman Pickleball Club, who was here earlier, they have, like she said, 170 members, and they are looking at donating some things. So we're excited to have them. Let's see, facility needs. Do we need more facilities? Baseball fields, obviously in season, the Little League and Baseball, feel like we need more baseball fields. Same thing as softball, but, I mean, if you go down there right now, they're not busy, but, softball, the same thing, in season, they're busy. Soccer, we're playing on outfields, but we've got Sunbelt Park that's being built, it's gonna be a huge improvement for that. Pickleball courts, the pickleball group feels like we need more pickleball courts. Our pickleball courts are busy. They're very busy from 7 in the morning till 9 in the morning, then they sit empty for 7 hours and they're packed in the evening. So it's just, to be able to accommodate everybody at the time they want to play is very challenging. And there I say about the in season, there's not enough. Softball fields, same thing, in season, there's not enough. Soccer fields, like I said, they play on the outfields. So it's, and the dramatic growth in soccer is unbelievable. If you haven't been down there on Saturdays when soccer's going on, it's packed and a lot of cool things. So Sunbelt Park, I was going to touch base on that too. Sunbelt Park, we're in the 60% design right now, and we are looking at getting a construction manager at risk and to get that process going. So as soon as we get the design done, we can get started on the drainage channel and get started on the park. Pickleball, like I talked about, pickleball is the fastest growing sport in America. It's really a great sport because it improves health and wellness of everybody. Juniors through seniors can play. And I'm very proud of our pickleball facilities. Our parks guys did a great job. We found a company that would let us do some of the work in building it, and they did a great job. Jerry's team leveled it and compacted it all, and so it saved a lot of money there. And we also poured the concrete ring around the outside, saved more money, so we could really have some great facilities, which we really do have. It's turned out really nice. And they mentioned about the shade structures. The challenge we had with getting the shade structures is the companies that build shade structures were concerned about putting them on the fence posts that we put them on, that they're gonna ruin the fence posts. And we're hopeful that they don't, and we're monitoring it, and we're gonna do our best to see to it that they don't do that. But it is a challenge with, and if we get snow in the winter and they get on there, so we're gonna have to really watch that kind of stuff. So, and when we talk about pickleball courts being busy or not, we have 960 available time slots to rent pickleball courts in a month in that general area, 960. And we average renting 144 time slots. So, you know, and part of the problem is, and not only our pickleball club, other groups get in there, they'll get the key, pay to rent 1 court, and they're playing on 3 courts instead of, and I explained to the pickleball club, because I have a nice, went to address the pickleball club, and I explained to them that our information, our data doesn't show that we're that busy if we're not paying for the courts when they're being used. And so, because when they pay, we ring it up in a register and it shows how many we have. So it's important that everybody who's playing on them, and there's things we could possibly do. We could have fences between each court. Right now we have nets that you can walk from one to the other, but we could have fences and separate gates to each one, would have a separate key and things like that. So we don't want to have to do that, but those are all things that we could do. I talked about what I mentioned earlier about the pickleball, how busy it is at certain times. And there's room to add more pickleball courts. And do we need more pickleball courts right now? We're obviously studying into that. And there's room on the west end of the pickleball courts to put 2 more courts there and 2 more on the east end of the racquetball courts. So there is possibilities to do that. What we're looking at doing right now is, and Kingman Pickleball Club is looking at, we're getting prices on this to have one of our tennis courts, court 4, which tennis, there's more people playing pickleball than there is tennis right now, but, and this court would still be able to be used for tennis, but it can hold 4 pickleball courts. So it would give us an additional 4 pickleball courts on temporary. And the temporary nets and stuff don't hold up that great, but they do work pretty well, and it would give us more courts during this time. Obviously, a recreation center is something we know that we need, and it's likely going to be a bond issue that's going to have to be passed for that, but it's important because, I mean, obviously you could play pickleball in the winter if we had a recreation center, and there's a feasibility study being done right now about it. It's in the process of being, I think it's been awarded, and we're going to be evaluating all that. So, and that's going to be obviously a decision to council, and that's likely going to have to be a bond issue as well. So, and these are all the recreation programs that we have. And Yvonne, you heard her earlier, where we're not allowed in this gym, we're not allowed in that gym. And it's a real challenge for us to get our leagues and everything's in there. So At the golf course, I want to touch on the golf course. We had 3 stakeholder meetings with the men's club, with the Elks Club, and with the women's club. And there was a lot of concerns shared with us. And these, I'm not going to read every one of them, but there's a lot of good concerns that were shared with us about the condition of the golf course and the grill and all the different things. And so we're taking all this very seriously, and we're looking at how we can get better about this. And we have a consultant that's going to come in, and that's an outside consultant that's going to come in and kind of evaluate our programs and what we do. And we're really looking forward to learning what we can from them if there's something that they see that we can do better. So we're really looking forward to that as well. The challenges at our golf course, Patrick touched on them a little bit, but we grow cool season grasses here, and it's challenging growing cool season grasses when it's as hot as it gets here. And also our cold temperatures get cold enough that cool season grasses go dormant here too. So it's really challenging. And when you get that amount of cart traffic that we get, and this was the hottest and driest year on record. So it was a really, really challenging year. And really my hat goes off to Patrick for the job that they've done of keeping the course in the shape that they did, because it was a very, very challenging year. What I say about Kingman weather, we have 2 seasons, summer and winter. We don't really have a very good spring and a very good fall. They're usually short, and the best time to grow grass is in the spring and fall when the temperatures are just right. So it is very challenging. We also have really poor soil here, and it dries out quickly, and so we're really, there's not a lot we can do about that. We could get on a top dressing program possibly for fairways, which would be very, very expensive. And we're going to talk to this consultant about things like that. Yeah, this year, like I said, was the hottest, driest year on record. I think we got less than a ½ inch of rain this whole year so far. So it's been really, really a challenging year. And one of the complaints is about the weeds on the green. This was the slide Patrick was talking about earlier, where we've got a new herbicide that we're sprayed on it, and you can see how it's working. If you look at the pictures there, the one on the right is that was its herbicide treatment that we gave not too long ago. We're going to give another treatment tomorrow, a herbicide treatment on the greens tomorrow. So we're excited about that. So we think we got a pretty good plan to get the weed under control. So we're excited about that. And we're going to talk with this consultant about that. He sees courses all over the country. So like I said, we're always looking to learn, and I think it's going to be a good experience for us. And here's the plan of attack that we've got for the weeds on the green, basically. We used a pre-emergent application 2 days ago or 3 days ago, and then we're going to follow up with every other week applications of a post-emergent product. So like I said, I think we got a lot of good going on with it, and we're obviously overseeding with bent, but if you use a pre-emergent, then you can't overseed bent. So we'll likely stay with the pre-emergent for now, and then next fall we'll lay off the pre-emergent and put some bent grass seed in when we spike seed and things like that. So cart damage, obviously very important. This picture shows it here. We have 70 carts, and we have 48 or 50 private carts. So that's 125 carts in round numbers running down the fairways every day. And you'll see there a picture that we have 6 and 8 carts going down a fairway a lot of times. Back in the day, in the early 90s, and even when I started here, there wasn't that many carts, and there'd be 2 carts going down every fairway, not 6 or 8. And we have tournaments where there's 8 carts going down the fairway. And here's a good picture of some damage this is where disease was tracked by carts. And as soon as they drive through that disease and it tracks it, it just kills everything. So it's very, very challenging when we get the amount of cart traffic that we get, and we get the bad disease in the morning. This is kind of what happens. So there's just some real challenges to it. And like I talk about, there used to be, the challenge with private carts is they pay a good amount of money for their private cart, and they want to use their private cart. So you can't say to these 2 private cart people, why don't you let yours sit here today while you ride with this person? I mean, that would be an ideal thing if they would pair up and do that kind of stuff, but it's unlikely that that's going to happen. It's very challenging. And like Patrick mentioned about staking and ropes, and we've done that over the years, and there's a lot of people that are really good about it, and there's a lot of people that will run the stakes right over and run the ropes over. So it's just kind of a challenge. Irrigation items, and these are just some pictures that show how irrigation is such a challenge here. Our turf grass canopy temperatures can get to 130 in the heat of the summer. Well, no grass does good at 130, especially cool season grasses. And we use moisture meters to see when the irrigation needs to be done. So, and we're looking at, from some of the complaints that we got, or concerns I like to call them, not complaints, some of the concerns that people brought up. We're looking at irrigation run times and trying to cut back on some of those where we can. There's also some challenges with, we have the newer greens that we have are USGA greens, and when you water those, they're sand greens, basically straight sand greens. The water goes right through and into the drainage, and then it dumps out around the greens, and so those areas get muddy. So there's just some real challenges with that too. And these are all things, like I said, we're gonna run by this consultant who's a really good guy. I'm looking forward to learning from him as well. So, at any rate, here's another project we're just gonna start on, and we talked about a reroute of the golf course, which that spurred a lot of people to share their concerns. So we're going to concentrate on the concerns right now. But this is a project that we're going to do regardless whether we do the up with a reroute or not. This is just some great improvements to number 16, which is a very challenging hole. There's a big ravine in front of that green where people will hit the ball in there and they can't find it. A lot of times there's rocks and everything in there. So we're going to put drainage in there and fill that area in and make a nice approach to it. And it makes it more player friendly too. I always say the growing population in golf is getting older, and if they have an easier way to walk up to the green, that's gonna be better. And so we'll trim some trees up too to make this hole play a little faster, because this hole has a tendency of slowing play down. So it's just gonna be a really, really good improvement, we think. And like I said about the concerns that were shared with us, we take all those concerns very seriously, and we're working hard. Sam and Patrick and their team, we're all working very hard to try to figure out what we can do to keep on improving. So that's what I have, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Blocking carts from entering the parking lot. Blocking carts from entering the parking lot. I assume this is for the rentals, but what do you do about people with private cars?
They're gonna always have to be able to get in there, because that's where they park, but, and they can go get around it. We just have to, right now, what the biggest problem is, when you go from number 15 to number 16, there's a path that you can go around the putting green and go over there, but they all race through the parking lot. And it's very, very dangerous. You'll get, like I said, 6 carts racing through the parking lot in different areas, and a car trying to pull out. So, and we have had one cart get hit by a car on one of our cross streets where they cross the street. And nobody was injured, fortunately, but we want to try to limit that kind of stuff as best we can. So that's what we're looking at. And you can get GPS to put on our carts that will stop carts from going in the parking lot. We've had people take our carts and go down the street. And so it will stop that with GPS on the carts. Another positive about GPS on the carts, which we're looking into, it would keep carts out of the parking lot, keep them off the streets, and it also enables you to monitor slow play by where the carts are. We won't be able to monitor the private carts, but we'll be able to monitor, you know, one of our carts is out there. We'll be able to say, oh, they're 2 holes behind, and you can even put up on the screen of the cart that they're on, you are 2 holes behind, please pick up the pace. So there's a lot of really good stuff you can do with GPS in this day and age, so we're looking into that right now too.
I have a question. I know you've met with a few golfers with their concerns. Do you ever go to the men's club and actually have a meeting with their members?
That's what we did with these. We had a men's club meeting, we had a meeting with the ladies club, we had a meeting with the Elks Club, the Elks Club is a big group now that are playing on Thursday mornings and Tuesday mornings too. Yeah, Tuesday and Thursday. So that's the groups that we met with, yep.
Okay, you just said we, is that Sam and you?
Yeah, Sam and, yeah,
Okay.
Patrick was out of town, but Sam and I met with them, and yeah, and that's what we did. We documented every concern that they had. We wrote them down, and like I said, we're paying attention, and we take, in every division that we have, we take concerns very seriously. At the end of every event we have in recreation, which Karen knows this, we evaluate how we did with that event. What can we do better? We ask the people that are hosting the events, what can we do better? And the same thing in the pro shop. We're going to be asking every group that plays, what can we do better? So it's just important that I've always felt that way. It's important to evaluate yourself too, you know, and how can we be better? So.
Okay, any other questions? No? Okay.
Thank you all. Sorry about the IT issue.
And we're moving on to announcements by commission members. Anything? Anything? Nothing? Oh, I've got stuff. All right. Well, the Andy Divine Days Parade, I helped Sherry because that was her first time handling the judges, and I also judged in the parade also. October first Friday, Brews and Brats, the Fall Festival, that was really, really nice, and it was great to see all the people that go down to First Friday and the Oktoberfest. That was nice. Also, the city county had a waste disposal day, and that was really nice. That was the first time I've ever thrown all my paint away, and they were like a well-oiled machine. They knew exactly what they were doing to help the community. I loved it. I also went to the Veterans Day Parade. It was nice to see all those people down there. And like Yvonne said, I went to the dance recital. Those kids were, oh, fantastic. A lot of energy on that stage. I'm also working on a new Santa Claus suit. I'm in the fur stage. It's kind of challenging putting fur with red velvet. So Santa will be in a new suit this year. And I believe that's all I have. Mike, did you have something else?
A couple of things I was going to mention. Our Trails Master Plan will be posted tomorrow, I think. All links get posted, so we're excited about that. The RFP for the Trails Master Plan, so we're really excited about that. And Colorado River Trail Alliance Group had a meeting yesterday with INMA, which is the International Mountain Biking Association, and they're talking about the High in the Sky Trail, which everybody knows about trails in this town, and they're excited about that. That's a really cool trail. It's going to go from basically Walmart Mountain Park all the way downtown into. We're excited about that project, so they're working on that. Ed's real active in that. He's doing a great job with that. Commissioner Man.
It's all right.
Anyway, we're excited too. Our playground upgrades and the exercise equipment with the signage that we're going to be getting installed, that got approved last night at the council meeting, so we're really excited about getting that all put in and rolling on that soon. So, and also Jerry mentioned briefly about Grandview Pool. We're in the process of trying to get all that with the architect. We're going to be doing there, working on that. Have that open by spring. We really have a lot of work to do to get that going. So excited about that. And then also our next meeting is going to be a noon meeting on Wednesday, 19th at noon. So, and I don't know for sure, but we may have a new commission liaison, I think. And I would like to say that the vice mayor has been an awesome liaison to this group. I've had several in my time here. I think she's the only one that had perfect attendance. No, she's been really an awesome liaison to this group, so I appreciate that. And thank you all for what you do.
Thank you. And yes, Vice Mayor Samley, I want to thank you. It's really been a pleasure having you here and listening to the public's concerns and all of our concerns in the parks, recreation, aquatics, golf. A lot going on in this city. We really appreciate you being here.
Thank you. If I may, it's been my pleasure. This commission is very active, and they're doing a lot of great things for our community. Quality of life is very important, and I think that you always keep that at the forefront when you're making decisions and recommendations up to the council. So I appreciate all of you commissioners, your time. I appreciate staff and their very detailed reports, and there's a lot of thought, and there is a lot of activity. So I also appreciate Director Mearsman and his efforts to be the glue that keeps everything together. So thank you for allowing me to be your liaison.
You're most welcome. If there's nothing else, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting. Second? Anyone?
Second that.
Thank you. And we need a vote on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And anyone object? Okay, meeting's adjourned, thank you.